with no surprise, seeing your eyes, serene blue of the lake. But is it the morning, Pierre's ancient world? In the house behind, the life you find is something understood. So there's now those vital minutes, time is keenly found. We are not alone, water over stone, even if you're by yourself.
Welcome to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the healing powers of your nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with you. In the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. How can we learn to honor sleep and dreaming as a valuable part of being human and not just as adjuncts to our waking life? Today, we talk with the three founders of a hot new app called DreamWell, Have Great Dreams. Our three guests are William, Daniel, and Nkechi, dialing in from France, British Columbia, and San Francisco, respectively. A truly international show today. I'm your host, Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. We're also co-broadcast over the hill in KCXU in downtown San Jose. Glad to have you part of the Dream Journal tribe. And also we have a podcast. The Dream Journal goes out every week on Mondays at noon. So please subscribe, rate, and review, and let people know about the Dream Journal. Like, my main mission of this show is to get people talking about dreams. And one way you can do that is to tell each other, to tell your friends about this podcast, to give you an opportunity to talk about your dreams. Hey, I'm interested in dreaming. Are you? I didn't know you were. How about that? So you can also find full archives at ksqd.org/the-dream-journal. Okay, dialing into the today's background music is called Focalize. Created fresh again this week by Rick Cleffel. So I'm going to start with my personal dream work, the way that I do. And this is a dream that I think I talked about last week of a horse, of seeing a horse that has been stabbed in its back, and yet it's still running strongly. And, at the time I was associating it with having a cold and getting over a cough. And, that's kind of bronchial area, right where I feel it. Even now, I still feel some of that. And so there's that. And yet I had the amazing opportunity last night to be part of an embodiment group. And this is the dream that we chose to work. And as I felt into being the horse, it touched into some childhood memories of when I got badly burned on my back, right about in the area where that horse was wounded. And so, it brought up in me the whole question of why dreams present things in metaphor. Like, why can't they just, say what they say? But I think maybe the dream is working with so many layers of feelings that they're actually being true to life. And that the horse with the spears in its back was the most powerful symbol that encompassed both the current attack on my bronchioles and also the way I'm still integrating this experience I had when I was 10 years old of boiling water pouring on my back, and that trauma to that part of my body basically comes out in the dream as a wounded horse. And so, maybe it's not that dreams are trying to trick us. They're actually giving us even more information, or they're working with way more layers than we suspect. So, call-ins will be welcome during the last 30 minutes of the show, or you can email us anytime at onair@ksqd.org. That's KSQ, that's onair, ONAIR, at ksqd.org. So today we'll be talking about this DreamWell app, and we're going to start out with two of the three guests right off the top. We're going to start with William Rekshan and Daniel Rekshan. So let me say hi to Daniel.
This is Daniel.
Oh,
actually.
Daniel, hi. Okay, good. We We got Daniel loud and clear, and we will see about getting William. William and Daniel are actually identical twins. Daniel Rekshan is in Kimberley, British Columbia, and he is the Chief Dream Officer of DreamWell. He has an MA from the California Institute of Integral Studies and is currently a PhD student at the California Institute for Human Science in the Integral Noetic Science program. That sounds like quite an amazing program. So, Daniel, hi.
Hi, yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. So.
Great, yeah. So I wonder if you can speak a little bit about what got you started. Like, as I mentioned, you and William are identical twins, and yet I understand you have very different experiences around dreaming. Could you say a little bit about that, Daniel?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this as a way, because Bill sent over a bio saying, Dan has crazy dreams, I don't. So I thought, how can I best explain that? And to give the kind of rough history of my own dream work, it's as a kid, I had very intense dreams, lucid dreams, like many of your other guests. Like they all say, oh, I had these strange dreams and I needed to go on a journey to make sense of them. And so, for instance, one of the most potent dreams I had was right before going off to college, where I thought I would study to become a physicist and maybe an astrophysicist, but I eventually went to philosophy, and the dream really brought me into the foundations of space and time. And I woke up from that thinking I actually was there in the foundations of space and time. That wasn't just a dream. But that sense of, was it a dream, was it not, continued until a very potent dream I had. And I know Bill William has a synchronistic dream around that time. And that might help talk about the difference of dreaming in our perspective. That dream happened when my grandfather unexpectedly passed away. And so it's a visitation dream in a sense. But at the time, I didn't know that. I had been engaged in out-of-body experience practice, astral projection, having some success, not so much. And they really just said, you know what, next time this happens to me, I'm going to find joy in the dream experience. I'm just going to find joy in it and go into a mindful state of joyful presence. And I saw there's a lot that happened, but essentially what I saw was a spirit lift up and out of a body. And I was invited by the holders of the dream space to practice what I decided I would practice, that mindful presence and joy. And I had this experience of seeing this spirit lift up out of body and go on to another side. And then as that happened, I woke up, I started writing the dream down. My mom said, your grandfather just passed away. And then after the fact, I was able to talk to my brother about it. And he also had a dream, but it didn't involve the same dream symbols, but had a sort of quality or feeling that really what spoke to that really transitionary moment of our grandfather passing. And that for me was the moment where I said, dreams are real, even if they're not interpretable like objective science. There's something real happening here that brings in my brother, my grandfather, these different systems. And ever since then, I've been looking into dreams. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. There's something about that, just deciding to have a joyful experience, which I really love. Like, so often I kind of approach dreams from a very serious point of view. It's like, I want to understand my issues and face my trauma and all this, which, I guess can be valuable. But like the focus on the joyfulness and the visitation from was it your grandfather is really amazing. So I believe we have Bill on the air now. So are you there, William?
I hope so.
Yay.
Am I here?
All right.
Okay.
So let me just introduce William. We heard a little bit from Daniel. I don't know how much you were able to hear, Bill, but Daniel shared a little bit about his dream story. But I want to say that William Rekshan, who is in Lyon, France, is the CEO of DreamWell and has co-authored research in sleep and clinical psychology, and has worked as an analyst at award-winning mobile apps. So the pair of you seem to have a lot of experience, which would be helpful in setting up this dream-related app. So Bill, I asked your brother a question about what first got him interested in dreaming, and as as identical twins, you've had certain things in common, but I understand your dreaming experiences have been different. And so what has, of course, you're individuals and you have very different experiences. And so I'm wondering what you would like to say about what got you first interested in dreaming, William.
Sure, yeah, I'd love to. Before I begin, I just want to call out, we actually have a fourth founder, and his name is Daniel Fallis, and he lives in Budapest, Hungary, and I just, he's such a delight to work with, so I just wanted to call him out and say thanks. And but yeah, so what got me into focusing on dreams was I was at college, I think I was 18 or 19, and I got into studying the philosophy of mind. And then for this summer, I was able to get an internship at the Henry Ford Sleep Disorder Clinic in Detroit. And I thought, oh, this will be terrible. Like, this will be so boring. It's about sleep. We just shut off for the night. Who cares? But then I was able to go there, and I learned all this amazing stuff about how the brain is active during sleep and what happens when we sleep. And from there, I've just been really interested in sleep and dreams as well.
Oh, okay. Well, and one of the topics that Daniel was introducing, which is that the dreams have a reality of their own, and like you said, sleeping is not just a question of switching off the body. That there's a lot that happens while we sleep. There's a lot that happens while we dream, and there's kind of a psychological attack that I often take around dreaming, having to do with issues in personal situations, but there are also like visitations. Daniel mentioned visitations, and people have out-of-body experiences, and that there is some sense that there are things that are happening while we're dreaming that in fact are real. And I wonder if, William, you'd like to say a few things about that and what that's been like for you, maybe some experiences that you've had around that.
Oh, good question. They definitely feel real when they're happening, right?
Oh, yeah, there's a quote. I got to jump. I love this quote from your webpage that I pulled out. Let's see if I can even find it now. Oh, here it is. By Stephen LeBaird. Dreams are real while they last. Can we say more of life? That is just sobering. Yeah. Like, whoa, they certainly feel real while they last. Yeah, Daniel, go ahead. Oh, sorry, William. I rarely have more than one guest on the show, and the fact that you guys are identical twins has me a little rattled. But just, I'll get it. Bill.
It's so funny. No, I've been thinking about that. It's given me time to think about the question, because I think about, experiences such as, visitations and this sort of thing. And I look back at my dream history, and I don't feel as if I personally had things of this nature. My dreams have definitely been profound. They've definitely, given me emotional insights and this sort of thing. But really, one of the most powerful things for me to get to know about dreaming is just to read dream reports and talk to people about their dreams. And Dan is a wonderful source for that. And getting to know the dream world through him. I also get to know it through my own experience, but also, when doing research on dreams, there's a number of really great online dream repositories that one can just read and hear these experiences, and people do have profound and amazing experiences while they're dreaming.
And also people find dreams meaningful. Like, there's a sense when I wake up that there's something meaningful here, even though I don't know what the meaning is, that there's a meaningfulness to dreaming that is very compelling. It's like, I would just, if it was just like this weird set of images, I could go, whatever, it doesn't matter. But there's often a sense of urgency or meaningfulness around dreams, which I think is fascinating. And maybe it has something about our relationship with dreaming.
Yeah, it definitely feels as if there is a strong communication from the dreaming mind. I love the ethics, the IASC ethics, actually, in terms of seeing that both the dreamer has the authority to interpret their own dream, and that the dream itself is like a multidimensional source of meaning. Yeah. So there is this kind of capacity to go, oh wow, there's so much meaning here. One of the things we like to do with at DreamWell, especially around some of the meditations, is to invite an experience of wonder that is very much similar to like walking out into nature. And I think of this early on because, in the early like ancient Greek times, the boundary between dreaming and waking was a little bit less strong. And so there's all these things around like looking at meaning in the pattern of birds and trees and things like that.
Like augury, I think they call that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that sort of thing is our natural relationship with the world. And it's kind of expressed in these highly potent ways in the dream state because we participate in the really strong construction of that world through our internal imagery and things like that. So we always want to encourage a point of view where there is this sense of wonder, this sense of connection with nature, the capacity to explore dreams multiple different ways, and not to really reduce it back down to a single type of meaning. Like we don't like, that's what happened when I think a lot about like monocropping and the issues of our environment. The environment has to be productive for our industry as opposed to just meaningful in these million different ways. And so that's the thing we would love to invite with anyone who listens to DreamWell, is to really be inspired by their dreams as a source of meaning that is natural to engage with, just like the natural world.
Yeah, that's a great description. And the natural world is not a monocrop. It's not just a simple one species of anything ever. There's always layers and layers. And like I was talking about during my dream check-in, I'm not sure if you both were able to hear that there's a particular dream I've been working with that I've found I'm starting to find more and more layers to it, and that is just a really valuable part of dreaming. Another thing that you said that I want to touch on is the IASD, is the International Association for the Study of Dreams, and their ethical statement, their ethical what they believe is, and I so wholeheartedly agree with, is that each person has an individual relationship to their dreams, and that no one else should tell the dreamer what the dream means. And yet it's fine to offer ideas of what it might possibly mean. And that's actually one of the incredible values of sharing with other people. Like in my group last night, by sharing the dream with other people, I got other ideas, and it helped me recognize what was true for me. And so I can take in 4 or 5 different ideas, but the ones that really resonate are the ones that are meaningful for me, and that's how I recognize something about my dream. So you mentioned the DreamWell app, and that there is a way of like looking at dreams without interpreting them, and yet offering ideas about dreams. So I wonder if you could say a little bit more about that. Maybe whoever would like to speak up about that.
William should speak about that. It's some of his brilliant data analysis coming forward, really to divorce the sense of analysis from interpretation.
Good.
Yeah, William.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, so within the app, we do try to help people understand meaning in their dreams. And a lot of this is coming primarily from data analysis. And so looking at, we try to identify dream symbols, and then we report back the prevalence of those symbols in a sort of a representative data set. So, I dreamt of a horse, and, if you entered that in DreamWell, you might get back, oh, did you know that, 3% of dreams have horses in them? And so we're trying to really ground any sort of interpretation or identification of dream symbol in data to really help people just understand how unique, how rare this is. I think it'll get really powerful when we begin to look at the type of dreams these symbols begin to appear in. So perhaps, and I actually haven't looked at the data about this example of horses, but maybe most of horse dreams are positive, and yours was negative, and that would be an additional data point and an additional viewpoint for you to consider. One of the things I've been doing right now is looking at the dream communities on Reddit, where there are huge dream communities. So like our lucid dreams or our dreams, there's hundreds of thousands of people contributing to these. And one of the primary themes that I'm seeing is, I dreamt of something that was weird. Am I normal? Is this okay?
Right.
Should I be worried? And I really think just providing that data, saying, yeah, no, it's totally normal. Your dreams are, people have weird dreams. They can have powerful symbols. And, there's nothing terribly bizarre about having strange dreams. And so I think that could be a really powerful offering and helpful for people to gain meaning from their dreams.
Well, that's one of the things that, that people get from sharing dreams is a sense of like, oh yeah, you dream about that too sometimes, and that there's a reassurance. And as luck would have it, next week we are having on the moderator of the Dreams Reddit, the James DeBoard. And so it's Jason DeBoard, and I know that that's a huge database. It's one of the most popular social media sites, and so it provides a huge amount of information. And like I'm saying, that sharing dreams is something that really helps people to feel more comfortable about their dreams. Many people who suffer from nightmares don't think there's anything that can be done, and they assume that everybody has nightmares and they just ignore them. And I think that's really sad, because there is a lot that can be done to help with nightmares. And but if people don't talk about their dreams, then nobody knows what's normal and what isn't normal. So this is one thing that could be very useful in the app, and on social media, and just chatting among your friends, like what have you been dreaming about lately? Oh, I had a dream I really would just want to tell you about. And like that kind of social aspect of dream sharing is very powerful for so many reasons.
Oh, absolutely. I love this sense of being able to share around anomalous dreaming. That's one of my fascinations, because we have been talking about some of the strange reality of dreams and things like that. And so we have all this sort of experience happening in the world that is really expanding providing data to expand our worldview. But if no one really knows that dreams are normal, or that strange dreams are normal, no one will talk about it.
Yeah.
And so I one of the things that I found was really interesting, and I'll just share this with you by way of synchronicity, since we're dealing with twins today.
Please.
So one of the more interesting dream phenomena has been documented on a website called experientialdreaming.com, not experientialdreamwork.com.
I gotta check out this site. I don't know this one.
It is absolutely bizarre. It's absolutely strange. But I've been working with a community of people who experience these things. This is called the red grid mark phenomenon, where people have this sort of red mark that shows up in sometimes beautiful sacred geometric forms, sometimes very clear geometric patterns. And 64% of them or so associate it with strange dreams. But no one really knows what to do with it. And there's just these communities out there saying, yep, I've got this weird thing and these weird dreams. How do I make sense of it? We're not sure, but it's really been a beautiful thing to see because of the internet. This experiential dreaming website came about 10 years ago, and there's now communities on social media of thousands of people who have these things, including like Harvard-trained dermatologist or plastic surgeon I talked to, who has this experience and can't explain it, but it reveals both the reality and the mystery of dreaming. And I would love to have a whole world where we can talk about these mysteries and not have to explain them in the same breath,
Right.
and just wonder. And I think that's what dreaming trains us to do. Yeah.
So Dan, do you think that we're really tapping into other realities? When we're dreaming, is our mind really kind of slipping loose from the physical body and actually experiencing something that we can't experience in a waking life? Let's start with Dan. What do you think about that?
It's a really good question. I will say traditionally, when we looked to, so I'll do a response from the literature around that, where there are these anomalies of dreaming, shared dreaming, telepathic dreaming, these sort of mysterious experiences, the thing I mentioned, in dream apportations. Krippner actually talked about this and says, hey, we need to look at shamanic dreaming as a framework to explain some of this stuff. And shamanic dream work definitely puts forward the notion that the consciousness leaves the body and goes to a world that is real, but requires interpretation and discernment. And there's a large degree of complexity around that interpretation in those cultures and cultural experiences. As to whether or not we can make the conclusion if we leave the body or not, I'm not quite sure, because that requires like a sophisticated model of consciousness that I don't think we have either in the objective sciences or in the non-objective sciences.
Right.
And I think it needs to come about through the dialogue between both the objective and subjective perspectives.
Well, it's true. I mean, the concept of leaving the body is even kind of, what does that even mean? I guess like one way to say this might be, do we receive influences from outside of our body, like from like this whole red mark? The thing about the red mark, could this be something that is true, that different people are tapping into? There, I had a guest on, Andresa Lawson, who talked about red dreams, where actually the whole dream turns red, and that this is kind of a phenomenon where people kind of step into these red worlds, and it's a very intense and spiritual place. But you know, what does it actually mean? I mean, who knows what meaning even means? It's meaningful. But yeah, I just wanted let me check in with William on the phone, and before we go to break, what do you have to say about some of these ideas of connecting with things outside of ourselves while we're sleeping, William?
That's a good question. I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, the world, the mind, the dreams in the world are just such a mystery to me, you know, and I'm a bit lost in just how miraculous it is to be alive and to have a brain. You know, I definitely, at least from my perspective, it's like, these are definitely hard things to talk about, right? You know, it'd be hard to like set this forth in a clear, reproducible scientific hypothesis, which I would want to do, my mind wants to do. You know, but at the same time, you can hold the subjective experience where it definitely does feel like maybe I went somewhere.
And what else do we have to go on? I love that. That's back to that Stephen LaBerge quote of like, it feels very real while it's lasts. Can we say more of life? Like, once life is over, what will this all seem like? I don't know. We won't know until we get there, and then we won't be able to communicate with anybody who's still here. Okay, so thank you. This is William Rekshan and Daniel Rekshan, and we are going to take a break. We're going to be joined during the break by another key player at DreamWell, Nkechi and Njaka, and she can go ahead and join us. And we are going to take a short break. And my name is Catherine Bell. You're listening to the Dream Journal, and this is KSQD in Santa Cruz. We will be right back. Okay, this is KSQD Santa Cruz. You're listening to the Dream Journal. We are also co-broadcast over in San Jose at KCXU. My name is Catherine Bell, and we are talking today about the DreamWell app. And we have 3 guests with us today. We have Bill Rekshan, Daniel Rekshan, and we're welcoming now Nkechi and Njaka from San Francisco. Nkechi is the Chief Mindfulness Officer of DreamWell. She has an MCS in Neuroscience from the University of Edinburgh, and she holds MBSR, Embodied Mind 200-hour, and MNDFL certificates. She is currently a PhD student at Liverpool John Moores University, and if I haven't said it lately, the way to find out about this app is at dreamwellbewell.com. So I guess we do have a line open, so I'm going to go ahead and open up the phones as well. If anybody would like to call and join the conversation, the number is 831-900-5773, and we'll get you on the phone. But hello, Nkechi, I'm so glad that you could join us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me and having us.
Of course, yes. This is a very exciting project. I wonder if you could answer a similar question that Dan and Bill answered, is what got you interested in dreams?
Yeah. So I've known William for a really long time. We used to be neuroscientists together long time ago, my first job out of grad school. And when William approached me about this project, I've been thinking a lot about the connection between mindfulness and sleep, and kept a dream journal and definitely was cultivating my own dream practice. But really, it's been such a joy and gift to learn how mindfulness and can it support dreams and support my own dreams. And so I've become far more interested within the last couple of years working on this project. But I've always been curious about my dreams, and my dreams have always been quite vivid since childhood. And I've always wanted to find meaning in them and understand them, and I guess make them better or more vivid or more, or even getting to a place where I can have lucid dreaming. So yeah, that's
okay.
That's my relationship with dreams.
Thank you. I love that. So, Nkechi, maybe you could say a little bit about Chief Mindfulness Officer, what that is, and your degrees. I mean, I don't know what these are. Embodied Mind and MNDFL. It sounds like mindful certificates. Like, what is that that you've studied, and how does that relate to dreaming, and also your experience with the DreamWell app around mindfulness?
Happy to share. So, our app is really for the purpose of supporting people in their health and well-being, and sleep is a major component of that, and dreams are a metric of sleep. And we know that mindfulness is supportive in sleep. So my role here at DreamWell is to support the sleep and dreaming aspects through mindfulness practices. And I discovered mindfulness alongside William long time ago in our research lab. We were looking at mindfulness as a way of treating people. We weren't looking at people with sleep issues, but I imagine the patient population that we were working with did have sleep issues, because people who struggle with sleep often have very similar issues as people who have anxiety or stress management issues. So mindfulness helps and supports that, and of course then can support people in their rest and deep rest and sleep.
So, sleeping, of course, is a very peaceful state. Meditation is kind of a peaceful state. Is this a question of kind of training the mind and the body to move into that sense of mindfulness, or do you think that, we talked a little bit in some of the email chatter about that way that we're kind of dreaming all the time, that we have daydreams, we have even thoughts have a kind of a imagery, dreamlike consciousness. There's meditation, there's sleeping, that there's and then there's full-on dreaming, that there's all these different ways that we engage in kind of non-focused thinking. Like we think of focused thought as like one end of a spectrum, and then there's a whole range of different ways that we can be in our mind. And so is meditation just a way to kind of move that along? I'm kind of asking for a friend. No, I'm joking, because I've tried to meditate so many times, and it's just like months at a time sometimes, and it just doesn't seem to do anything for me, and like I'm wondering like the connection there. I'm also not a very good lucid dreamer. I rarely lucid dream. Maybe there's a connection. I don't know. But I just like thinking about these whole range of states of mind. And if let's start with Nkechi, and then maybe we'll get Dan and Bill to jump in and speak a little bit about their experiences too.
Yeah, happy to share, and
Great.
also happy to share that there are mindfulness practices in the DreamWell app. So for you, for a friend, for anyone that is curious about getting into meditative practices, that's available, and we want it to be available to everyone. And I do notice that, some of the ways in which mindfulness prepares us for deeper relaxation in our body. So I would say the research that I'm doing for my PhD is really around embodied presence. So being in the body and not just having a clear mind. I mean, I'm interested in mindfulness, but I think mindfulness is actually an embodied practice. And sometimes that can really show up in our dreams too. Like I have very, very physical embodied experiences in my dreams where I think I'm swimming and I feel my body and so I'm curious of how embodied practices can support dreaming and lucidity of dreaming, but I don't have much more to say there other than I'm super curious about that.
Okay.
But yes, preparing the mind and preparing the body for relaxation does prepare for sleep, and I do think that's supportive to dreaming, particularly those who have, issues falling asleep and even having what they might consider negative dreams or rumination. It's mindfulness has been shown to inversely be related to dream anxiety or negative dream quality. So that is something that I find really interesting about the connection here.
So people who meditate quite a bit tend to have less negative dreams. They have more positive experience with dreams.
According to some research, and I hope it's true.
Okay, very interesting. Well, William, why don't you jump in? Do you have anything to add about mindfulness or about the continuum of the different kinds of dreaming states, dream-like states that we have during the day? What's coming up for you right now, William?
Oh my God! Don't get me started on this topic.
No, please get started.
This is like fascinating to me. I've been reading some work by Jennifer Wendt, who's a philosopher from Monash University. And there's something that like blows my mind, and it's that there's a bunch of we think of dreams as coming from the stage of sleep of REM, rapid eye movement sleep, and you think, I had a dream that's coming from REM. There's research that's saying like actually there's a bunch of dream reports coming from non-REM sleep, and so the stats I'm thinking about is there was a study. 65% of the time somebody was awoken from REM sleep, they had a dream. 45% of the time they were awoken from non-REM sleep, they reported mental activity, which is like mind-blowing to me, right? That we have mental activity while we're asleep. And then the other thing that was funny is that while somebody's awake, if you ask, hey, are you thinking about something, only 75% of the time.
Oh, while they're awake? Okay, that's interesting. Wow. Okay.
No, I mean, you think it'd be 100%, but there's any number of different states our mind can be in at any number of different times. And I don't think it's really, for me, it's not a one-to-one relation. I'm in REM sleep, I'm having dreams. I'm awake, I'm, not sleeping or not having dreams. But really, there's sort of a fluid experience between each of these different stages. And so, for me, when I was thinking about mindfulness, it's actually, I think that there's a fair bit of evidence to say that there is indeed mental activity or some form of mental activity throughout the entire night of sleep. And then also during the day, your mind can be really off the present moment and be lost in thought. And so mindfulness is a really great thing to help you just be with what is throughout every state. And that's why I really appreciate and value it in relationship to dreams and sleep and indeed wakefulness.
Yeah. Thank you, William. That's really interesting. How about you, Dan? Do you want to jump in? What has been your experience around mindfulness and dreaming and of the continuum of mental activity?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So, I'd love to cite that paper again, the Krippner paper that talked about the dream enigmas. The title is something like "Constructed Life, Waking Life." And he has a paragraph there in between suggesting that dream anomalies drive us towards shamanic dream practices. He says perhaps that the whole waking life is something like a special type of dream, something like that. So there is a continuity actually, and I was really delighted to discover that because I recently read that paper, and this dialogue has been going on between Bill and me for a while around the continuality of consciousness through waking, dreaming, and various states. We really do need to call out the Tibetan Buddhist dream yoga practices in this dialogue, because they are sort of tangential to the lucid dreaming dialogue, which brings mindfulness center. So I do want to point out, like, one of the points of the Tibetan Buddhist dream yoga practices is to maintain mindful awareness from waking to sleeping to dreaming to deep dreamless sleep and back again. So that's really one of the, like, a fully established, developed, and empirical, and I would say perhaps even scientific system that points us to mindfulness and the continuity of consciousness. That isn't necessarily well understood within the Western literature regarding lucid dreaming and mindfulness. And so in that literature, in the Western science literature, we see, at least I see, that there is this sort of like universal, almost like mindfulness is not really harmful, is generally beneficial. In the dream studies, it seems to increase recall as well as like dream, like quantity of content you're engaging with, as well as capacities for choice. So overall, we see from the developed systems that mindfulness is good. We see from the literature we have that it's at least non-harmful and generally beneficial throughout all states. And that's one of the things that is a kind of advanced practice, is to try to engage in this mindful practice from waking to dreaming to sleeping to, and I do want to point out that a lot of the dream work and in mindfulness stuff is universal and simple. Like, mindfulness really invites you just to be who you are right now with your breath. And in that same way, the dream practices we invite you to do is to be with your dreams kind of in that way, where we're not extracting or doing anything with them, although that sometimes does happen and is part of it. The whole container might be this sort of just presence in a way, and that's what mindfulness enables us to do.
Well, certainly I found that the dreams that I've been working with in my own dreams for, my whole life, of course, but much more intensively in the last 40 years, 20 years, 10 years, like as time goes on, that the dreams do bring me back to a more sense of presence and being in the present, and that there's like this whole evolution in my dreams. Like, one of my recent things is that I tend to be in a hurry and like wanting to, listeners will recognize this motif from me, that I tend to be in a hurry and need to get somewhere, have some idea where I need to be. And in the dream, it often shows up as me trying to get home and being in a rush and being all flustered. And that theme for me is starting to shift, and it's showing up in my dreams in a way that as I'm packing in the dream, I'm not so flustered. And I had a recent dream where I was feeling calm. I was getting ready to go home, which is kind of the usual setup for me to get all flustered. And somebody in the room is rushing me. And so I suddenly see that it's outside of me that this sense of being in a hurry comes from, and so that I can be the one who is here in the present moment, and then recognize that this urge to be in a hurry comes from in some way else inside of my head, but it's not me. It's not my soul. Like, maybe there's something that I learned along the way. So the dreaming has basically helped me get back to being in the present moment, just as an organic way of working with dreams, without ever having the intention of getting rid of this habit of mine, but just noticing the cost of the habit of being in a hurry, noticing the painfulness about that, and then reflecting on dreams around that. And it's really prying me loose from the idea that I am a person who hurries. Instead, I'm like, oh, I'm a person who has the urge to hurry, which is a very different kind of a thing. And then I can indulge in that or not. But it's kind of bringing me toward mindfulness, even though I don't meditate or lucid dream, that there is a way that the dreams are kind of moving me that in direction organically. So I'm wondering, I want to get a few more words from Nkechi, since we were kind of late joining us to the group. And I wonder if you have a few more things that you would like to bring up around this topic or any other topic around dreaming, around, we haven't talked much about the app itself. Sorry. I see we actually have a caller. So that's going to preempt any idea I might have had, since we love our callers. So we have a caller from Anna from San Francisco. Okay, are you there, Anna?
I am.
Oh, fabulous. So glad that you called. What can we do for you today, Anna?
So I'm calling in about the DreamWell conversation.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And I just was curious. I love the app. I think it's really incredible that there are all of these options to listen to sleep stories, the mindfulness practices, the binaural beats. It has been so helpful in sort of my sleep experience. And I'm really curious, what is the correlation between the way in which you dream and sort of the intensity of your dreams and the quality of sleep?
So the question has to do with like whether really intense dreams like make you sleep less deeply. Is that kind of the question, Anna?
Not if it makes you sleep less deeply, just what kind of sleep that equates to. What quality of sleep does dreaming strongly correlate with?
I'm happy to throw out a couple references or papers that I turned to. One is is like lucid dreaming. Is that good for you or not? Because you're like spending all night having intense dream experiences.
I've heard people
and
ask
things like that.
Are you really resting if you're lucid dreaming because your brain's switched on all night? That's a good question. What do you say about that?
Well, there's contradictory information in the literature, but generally it's sort of like it's not a problem, is sort of what my take on it is. And I would invite anyone who really needs to know to check out that literature, because sometimes there are things that say, hey, your sleep is going bad or it's going well, but the sense is it's not lucid dreaming practice in that way isn't necessarily harmful to sleep quality. And then the other paper I've been thinking a lot about is they call it the intensity, and we have a scale for this in the Dream Journal app, but it is the valence or the difference between positive and negative emotions in dreams. Mm-hmm. That sense of having negative dream experiences as well as intense dream experiences, I don't know how it impacts sleep, but the paper that I keep thinking about says, hey, this is actually positively correlated with well-being. Like if you're being well in waking life, you may actually like your dreams may be more intense and may not actually be positively intense. So if you have negative intense emotions in dreams, that may actually be correlated with positive well-being, meaning that you are emotionally regulating or something.
Interesting.
Like
well, it's certainly true that when I was so miserably unhappy, most of my dreams were like these flat, gray, mishmash nothings. And they're much more vivid now. So that's I don't know if I would have thought about it like that. Thank you. That's a good description there, Dan. Is that Anna? Does that kind of address your question? Do you have any follow-up questions about that or reflections?
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say, and I'm not sure if I'm understanding correctly, but maybe that it's not so much whether you're dreaming or not dreaming that correlates to the quality of the sleep. It's more what is happening within the dream. Am I understanding that? Whether it's a positive dream or a negative dream?
Yeah, I'm just saying that perhaps the dream, our initial understanding of dream quality behaves in ways that are kind of counterintuitive, like lucid dreaming all night. Maybe if sleep is diminished. Actually, that's probably not the case. It's probably not really impactful for sleep somehow, magically, right? Like waking up and doing these practices all night seems like it should impact it. The same thing with the intensely negative dreams. Seems like maybe it should impact the life negatively, but actually it's positive well-being. So regarding the sleep quality, I would say the things that are more impactful for the dreams are actually the mindfulness practices, where like you practice mindfulness, sleep quality increases, dream life increases. And then there's other things like some of the sleep techniques that we offer or indications are like, there's a lot of stuff you could do in waking and dreaming to help the sleep quality.
Wow, this is fabulous. So, well, we are running to the end of our time here. Anna, I'm so glad you called, and thank you also for giving a little rundown about the other things available in the DreamWell app, because I think, that we do need some really good dream apps out there, and this one seems like it has more than just dreaming, but also has this mindfulness practice, bedtime stories, music, and that sort of thing. So thank you for calling in. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
All right. Bye. So this is our wrap up here. This is the DreamWell app, and the way to find the webpage is DreamWellBeWell.com. And I'm wondering, I kind of like to ask, is there any other way for folks to get in touch with you, or does someone have another contact info they want, or is that just really the best way to get in touch with you three? DreamWellBeWell.com.
Yeah, you can go to the app stores, the Play Store or the App Store to download the app. We love talking to people. If you have questions or feedback, you can email us. I believe there's emails on the website. But if not, you can feel free to Google us and stalk us, at least for me. And I can speak for William in terms of sending emails and things like that. And we do have our own practices, like Nkechi does wonderful mindfulness training and a resonance experience that is music plus mindfulness. That's coming up in the app pretty soon. I just wanted to say we're so excited about that. So if you're interested in mindfulness, that might be a really great way to connect if you're not into meditation.
Okay.
So that's
And Nkechi, did I hear another voice?
Oh, yeah. I was just saying, yes, we will be having a new experience in the app called Resonance, and it is music and mindfulness. And so if people don't have a mindfulness practice or they find mindfulness a little bit intimidating, there is a musical component to it that will help people and find it to be very supportive. We're also on Instagram. So if you are on Instagram, come find us, follow us.
Is that DreamWell Be Well or something?
DreamWell Be Well,
okay.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Okay, Nkechi and Njaka, Daniel Rekshan, and William Rekshan, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
Great.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, so next week our guest will be Jason DeBoard, as I mentioned earlier today. Jason is also known as U/Rad Owl, who's the moderator of the most popular social media site related to dreams, dreams.reddit.com. Tune in next week or listen to the live broadcast Saturday at 10 a.m. or catch the podcast replay, which will be released, as always, on the Monday following the show. I'm Catherine Bell, and this has been the Dream Journal. Thanks for listening. You can find out about my own dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. Email me at catherine@ksqd.org. That's KATHERINE@ksqd.org. Please contact me so we can talk about dreams and so I can let you know about my upcoming dream offerings. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, California. Archives and 24/7 live stream at ksqd.org. I'd like to thank Rick Kleffel, engineer and music creator. You can find the ambient music at pandemia.com. I thank Tony Rusamato, Eva Milady. Intro music is Water Over Stones. Outro music is Everything, both by Mood Science. And join me next Saturday. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.
All the boys and the girls and everyone in the world knows that so much is wrong. But much more